Hey guys, Rich here, and today we're taking a look at a leaked build of Windows 11. Yes, it is the next major update to Windows, 10. Because basically this is Windows 10, right? This is Windows 10 with a new shell. It's really a marketing thing. Remember, and by the way, we can take a look at the WinVer, and we're going to see that this is absolutely Windows 11. It's build 21996. Rumor has it that it's going to be 22,000 even when it RTMs. This is Windows 11 Home. The SKUs are pretty much the same. But yeah, it is pretty much a marketing thing. When Microsoft first launched Windows 10, there was a developer evangelist that said it would be the last version of the OS. And internally, they kind of said the same thing, although they never really said it externally. But all those guys are gone now, and now they want to make Windows fresh again. It's become a bit stale in those 6 years or so. So now we have Windows 11. But again, you have to remember that it's Windows 10 under the hood. So let's take a look. We can open up our Start menu here, and guess what? It looks exactly like it looked on Windows 10X, because that's pretty much what we're seeing here. It's Windows 10, but with the Windows 10X shell, and of course, as we know, Windows 10X is gone. It's not coming back. So we're in light mode here. We're obviously going to want to get rid of that. Now you can see that the settings app has not changed. In fact, you're going to see that throughout the UI, that a lot of stuff has not changed. So let's go into colors here, and we can just change to dark mode. And really, it's just because that's sort of how Windows works, right? We have these UWP apps, and they kind of go throughout the UI. So you're going to see the same mail and calendar apps. You're going to see the same OneNote app. There's a bunch of bloatware on here that nobody wants, right? By the way, you see Photoshop Express there? That shows up as Photoshop Elements. But Photoshop Elements is a paid app, so I got pretty excited. I'm like, oh man, they're giving this away with Windows 11? That's cool. But no, once you click it, it downloads and just turns into Photoshop Express, presumably unless you've already purchased Photoshop Elements. PixArt, Twitter, Messenger, right? Netflix, Spotify, even Solitaire, which is a first-party app, but it's really just so Microsoft can load it with ads. You could also see pre-installed, we have Paint. That's got a prime spot. Movies on TV is still there. The File Explorer we'll get to. But most of these UWP apps are just the same apps that we're familiar with on Windows 10, right? So here's our Office app, and it's the same Office app that you know. So we can just move on from there. And now we can take a look. If we personalize over here, that puts us back in settings. Now, there are a few different ones. Actually, there are a bunch, right? We've actually got several new wallpapers here, which is pretty cool. And there's even some, I haven't quite found it on here yet, but there is one that looks exactly like this one, which this seems to be the hero image for Windows 11. There's one that looks like that, but with a dark background. And I had expected that when I would switch it to dark theme, that it would automatically switch to that dark wallpaper, similar to what Mac OS does. That's just, that's not the case here. It could be because it's a preview, could be a bug, or they could just have light and dark versions of the same wallpaper. So who knows? Now, another thing, over in the taskbar here, this is actually pretty cool. Like so you can see that the taskbar is centered. That's something that we saw in Windows 10X. It made its way to Windows 11. Like I said, Windows 10 with a 10X shell. So yeah, it's centered, but you don't have to center it. You can move it over to the left if you want. If you want that Windows 10 style, you can move all your icons over to the left. I always like them centered. There's an app in the Microsoft Store called Taskbar X that you can download to center all your icons. And now you won't need that third-party app anymore. So what can we do next? We could open up Edge. Edge is the same, right? Because remember, again, this is the same app across Windows 11, Windows 10, even Windows 7 and 8.1. It's all just kind of the same stuff here. So if we go to this icon up here, right? The maximize button, if it was in a window, you could choose split screen options. There's 4 options, and you could choose where you want it to be on the screen. And it's actually super cool because remember, at one point, Microsoft had done snap assist, where you could just snap it to the side and you could do your two apps side by side right there, and it'll give you suggestions on the other side of the screen. So now it's letting you do even more, which it's pretty cool, because it's giving you suggestions on the other part of the screen. We don't need the screen recorder that I'm currently using. We're fine without that. So now if we look over here, you can see there's some new icons on the bottom of the screen. We do have Windows Search, and Windows Search is really no different, which you saw when I did WinVer. You can see that the results look exactly the same, but you can just kind of see that the window itself is more of a pop out. It's not actually connected to the taskbar. It's just that sort of floating window. It's got the rounded corners, which is cool. Obviously, rounded corners are a theme here. I suspect that we'll see even more of them by the time this launches, but who knows? Okay, so yeah, it's got the rounded corners. Same thing with the start menu, right? It's that fly out sort of window that we're seeing. What else we got? We got virtual desktops, right? This is, that UI hasn't changed too much, but that's there in the start menu. I don't really use it, so it is what it is. Widgets, okay? Now, I'm going to close these apps for this. And what we can do, because I installed this on several PCs here. These are widgets. I installed this on several PCs because I installed it first on a VM, then on a laptop, then on a Surface Book 3, then on a Surface Pro 7, because I wanted to start getting a feel for how this looks on different types of hardware, or just how it feels. Because remember, a big part of the Windows 11, or what's called the Sun Valley UI refresh, it's supposed to be that it's going to work better with touchscreens, which Windows 10 has never been very good at touchscreens. Windows 8 was all in, and then it's like they scaled back way too far, and it was never too good. So if you swipe in from the left, you're going to get those widgets. If you don't have a touchscreen, or you just don't want to use your touchscreen, this icon right on the bottom will get you to your widgets. And you see by default it's giving me, and this seems to be the default for everybody, weather, money. I don't know why MBA is there. But and then top stories. So yeah, we got these goodies, and it's not really, I mean, it seems similar to what they debuted as news and interest on Windows 10. But this seems to take the place of live tiles, right? And doesn't seem to allow me to drag and drop it. I mean, obviously this is going to be customizable, so you can close it. Not interested in the story. But anyway, it's taking the place of live tiles, because remember, we don't have tiles anymore. We just have transparent icons and jeez, I can't get over how many icons are just not from how many apps are not from Microsoft. That's wild. We've got our all apps list, which actually looks pretty similar to what we've seen in Windows 10, but there are no tiles. Remember, we had live tiles. They started with Windows Phone, and they served as a shortcut, and they served as a widget that would show you up-to-date information whenever it decided to refresh itself. So those are gone. So now we have widgets with that information, and then the shortcuts are still in the start menu where you'd expect to find them. If you swipe in from the right, you are going to find, and I just clicked to open it, that's the Action Center. That's still in the same place. We do have some changes to just kind of the options that are here. There's no more tablet mode, which is interesting, because Windows 10 was always kind of weird like that. It had a dedicated tablet mode with a full screen start menu, and then also it would do kind of tablet centric things if you didn't turn that on, but then say you detach the display from your Surface Book. So it was a little, it was just a little weird like that. And again, it just wasn't very good. I don't think this is particularly good either. I don't think that this is solving any particular problems when it comes to touchscreens that Windows 10 didn't already solve on its own. But we're going to have to see how this goes. That's why I installed it on a Surface Pro 7 and a Surface Book 3. I want to play with it. And there's also hardware we haven't seen yet. Because remember, Microsoft still hasn't said they're not shipping the Surface Neo that was supposed to come with Windows 10X. Now that we have this new shell, perhaps they still will. One other thing that's actually pretty cool that I didn't cover in my written hands-on is that the sound that it makes when you change the volume and stuff like that. It's not nearly as annoying. I've always hated that sound. I've found it to be offensive. So it's cool that it's a lot more pleasant. I'm still not sure why we need a sound that reflects the change volume, but baby steps. And there we go. We just got a notification on Windows 11 to see what's next for Windows at the June 24th event. I've been seeing that notification quite a bit over the last couple weeks, although I activated a lot of new PCs. I suspect a lot of people saw it today because now they just installed a new version of Windows today, and Microsoft is just kind of pushing that out. So, yeah, we've kind of seen everything. Although the Windows Twitter account did tweet out that they have more to show, so we'll see more on June 24th about that. I said we'd get into the File Explorer. This is something that I kind of skim past when I look, but it is a big deal. We have new icons for folders. It's very colorful. A lot of people like it. I like it. I think it's a really good look. In fact, you have new icons just across the UI. Like we can see, even the recycle bin is different. Everything is different, and that's good. It's a nice refreshed look. I just tend to skip over it because this stuff is in preview. If you are running the latest Windows 10 builds from the dev channel, then you've already seen this stuff, and you've seen it for weeks now. There's not a whole lot that's going on there. The File Explorer itself is not all that different. It's just got different stuff in it. We're gonna see some changes to the touch keyboard over here, and you can see that this is not new, but you can that sort of one-handed mode. This, on the other hand, is new. So that's sort of a Google Gboard type of thing. This was really made for Windows 10X. It's just supposed to be more modern. You could add emojis. You can add animated GIFs, cow emojis, if I'm saying that right. And so you have lots of options on there for just kind of fun things that you can do. And then, you can just switch it around with stuff that's going on up here. One thing I thought we were going to see that we saw in a leak was background images for the touch keyboard, and I'm kind of disappointed to not see that. Just because I expected some SwiftKey features to show up here, and I think that would have made a lot of sense for this. But other than that, there's not too much going on. You'll notice when you right-click on the taskbar, there's just taskbar settings. There's no flyout menu with all of the fun stuff that you used to see. So that's a little bit disappointing. And power users are not going to like that. So that's about it. And it's safe to say that this is... I'm not going to say that it's a final build because obviously it's not a final build, right? The final build should be 22,000, and we could pull up we could pull up settings about. You can see, like I said, this is all looks exactly. Once you open up settings, it almost all looks exactly the same as Windows 10. Should be 22,000 for Windows 11. When you install this build, the SKUs are the same. This is Windows 11 Home because I upgraded to Surface Book 3. You'll have options for Windows 10, Windows 11 Pro, Windows 11 Enterprise, the variants of each one. It's all there. And because that's how you can really know that it's just Windows 10 being upgraded, because all the SKUs are exactly the same. It really is just a new user experience. So this build itself should just be a few builds short of the RTM. So you can expect that there should be some bug fixes after this. As far as actual features go, there shouldn't be much that changes between now and at least June 24th. Really, honestly, with just over a week left before the big announcement, you can expect that they have everything finalized. So that's it, guys. I'm Rich. Have a great night.